sound of the vuvuzela means it is time again for Get More Sports World Tour Soccer Podcast. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this week. I am DJ Carr, and got a pretty nice show for you here. Jam-packed half hour of stuff going on around the world of the beautiful game. It's pretty nice right now. Everything's crazy. Champions League is crazy. Second round of match day 2, I should call it. Boy, here we go. Group stage is getting thick, and that's, we got a whole eight more matches set up for Wednesday. Of course, as I shoot this, it is Tuesday night in a hot New York City. It is just, woof. I mean, man, humidity beyond, but we're not here to talk about the weather, so let's get started with some football. All right, we got FIFA news, of course, and, there's going to be FIFA news coming up here for, maybe the next 3 years. Who knows how long this is going to take? I could be even longer than that. I'm just absolutely guesstimating at how what length is going to be to get FIFA organized. And we saw the FIFA former Caribbean football president, Jack Warner, banned for life. Get out, you schmuck. That dude, man, he's still fighting extradition and corruption charges in denial of accepting millions of dollars for being a schmuck. I can't stand the dude. 72 years old, and you live in this beautiful life because you're an asshole. That's just, you know what? I have no sympathy for him. Banning for life is really not even all that significant. You know what? We don't want you in football, and nobody around here wants you in football. Stay away. Go live your life in exile. It's just a schmuck. It's my opinion. And, Chung Mong-jun, it's pretty nice to see him. He's a FIFA presidential candidate. He held a press conference on Tuesday saying he's concerned about trying to fix an extremely damaged product that has gone on for 40 years. When you hear stuff like that, you're like, 40, really? It's been going on for 40 years? Well, what? Do you really think all this just happened in the last 6 months? Granted, everything came down. Man, this has been going on for years. We all know about the organized this and the organized crime and mafia this and all the crap that goes on. It's everywhere. It's unfortunate. It's the society we live in. It's just the way it is today. You even look in the NFL. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And, that's an unfortunate quote that has been going on for years. It's horrible to even think like that. It's amazing the society we live in. And it really hasn't even started. You can go back to 1919 if you like, with the black socks and the white socks and all the crazy socks, and who knows how many other socks that people were muffled with, but so they could, set up a bet somewhere so they could make some money without. It's just amazing. It's really sick, and we got a chance this week. My wife and I went to Las Vegas, and we actually got to visit the Mob Museum. And it was pretty cool to see that they have a big old FIFA room there. It's set up for all the stuff that's been going on with FIFA over the last 6 months. Of course, there's going to be a documentary coming out soon. It's pretty cool to walk in there. We actually got to sit down with the director from the Mob Museum, and we had a great time with him. He was fantastic, and really want to thank them for hosting us and letting my wife and I come in there and hang out. It's pretty nice. We had a good time there, definitely. If you're in Vegas and you're near the Fremont Street Experience over there, it's right at the end of the Fremont Experience Street, if I recall right. It's just, my God, we such a good time. Those people are so accommodating. We loved it there. And to get back to it, Sepp Blatter made the news again this week, of course, and it won't be the last time we hear that name. You'll be hearing the name Sepp Blatter for who knows how long, and of course all of us know he's another schmuck out there who's just, turning this whole entire FIFA thing into a mess. And he was informed that the Swiss Attorney General is opening criminal proceedings against the former president, suspicion of criminal management. Yeah, you think? There's no suspicion to be had, man. Let's not be suspicious because we all know what happened. Give me a break. And in a statement released by the Office of the Swiss Attorney General, they confirmed that they are examining a contract signed by Blatter to Michael Platini, terming a deal as a disloyal contract, with a second document between FIFA and the Caribbean Football Union that's being examined as well. And like we mentioned with Jack Warner, and he was part of the whole Caribbean football presidential campaign, and he was on there. And it's going to be an ongoing thing. People are going to have to get used to this. You know, every week, every 2 weeks, next month, at the end of the year, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It's going to be going on for quite a while. There's no end in sight, of course, and you know, you almost feel bad for guys like Chung Mong Jun who actually care about the sport, and you know, we all get it. You know, all of us out here certainly don't want to see corruption going on. We just want to watch a football game where you don't have to sit back and think, well, I wonder who has their hand in this one today, and how did this score end 1-1? Bet you I know how. And how come this team got the awarded home field? And it's just all the crap that goes on. It's so unfortunate for the sport of football. It's just, again, the society we live in. And let's move on. It's too depressing. Actually, it's just ridiculous. I honestly can't even get over the fact that we're still talking about all this. And like I mentioned, it's not going to be going away anytime soon. But let's move on. MLS. Of course, you know, I definitely want to get to the MLS. It's only, 3-4 games left in the regular season before the playoffs get underway. And we have so many playoff clinching scenarios this week. And a whole bunch of teams can be eliminated from playoff contention this week as well. And it's amazing when you actually go to the MLSsoccer.com page. You see all the playoff scenarios. It's amazing. I mean, it's here we go. This is what everyone's been playing for. And, of course, all those clubs that said in the beginning of the season, you know what, it's a long season. We have a lot of games to make up. Even a poor start really won't hurt us. Well, you know what? It's, you know, all that stuff's coming to a head now because you might be paying for those, you know, paying for those early struggles with, you know, if you miss the playoffs by 2 points, you look back and you say, you know what? If I would have changed my attitude for this game, we came away with 3 points, we'd be in the playoffs right now. And it always comes down to that. How many times? You know, 1 point, 2 points. I mean, it's especially even more so now. You look at the standings out in the MLS right now, and it's how much tighter does it get? LA Galaxy with 50 points, and then you have Vancouver, Dallas, Seattle, the Red Bulls, New England, Columbus, DC United. All 9 clubs are within 5 points of each other when it's coming down to who was going to win the you know, home field and supporters shield throughout the playoffs. And Galaxy, of course, came out with a nice win last week, which they certainly needed. They've been struggling pretty big time. 2 losses in a draw in their last 3, but nice win over Dallas, 3-2 this weekend. They certainly needed to get back on pace. That's amazing how they were shut down the way they were all of a sudden. 3 straight matches without a goal. I mean, who would have thought? I really honestly never thought at any point we'd be talking about the LA Galaxy being shut down for 3 straight matches, but it happened. And they rebounded nicely against Dallas this past weekend. Like I mentioned, they certainly needed that. They're in the clear right. Well, they're not in the clear, but they have a 2-point lead on Vancouver and the New York Red Bulls, who have 48 points. Of course, they're in different conferences, but you know, it all comes down to who comes away with home field advantage. They're all fighting for the same thing. But let's go over the West, of course. Galaxy, like I mentioned, 50 points. Vancouver, 48 points. Dallas, 47 points, losing their opportunity to take over first place. But they came away with a result against L.A. Didn't quite happen, obviously. Seattle and Kansas City both ended up drawing last weekend, which hurt them a little bit. And, you know, Portland's holding on to that last spot in the Western Conference, 6th place with 44 points. San Jose, right there, 1 point. And they had a big win this weekend as well, which they definitely needed. They've been certainly going backwards after getting back into the race. Of course, you know, remember June and July for Seattle and San Jose. They both struggled in June and July pretty bad. And San Jose needed that big win. They came away with a 1-0 win over Real Salt Lake, who are pretty much, you know, I'm going to say Real Salt Lake. I think they're out of it. I mean, of course, 6 points to make up on Portland isn't that much of a uphill battle, but there's certainly a lot for them to do. And they've been outscored 35-42 with a -7 ratio. Not good. I mean, it's just, you know, they've been playing well, though, for the last 4. They've been playing well. But, you know, Houston, of course, is still in this, too. You know, 3 points to make up on Portland, and they've won their last 2 matches. And, look, you know, you never know. I mean, you never know in that Western Conference. I think Colorado being 10 points out with only 4 matches to go, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's just the club could never find a way to score goals. It's amazing. 29 goals. Easily leading, well, not easily leading the league. You know, Portland only has 31 goals scored as well. Yeah, when you know, usually when you're in the bottom of the conference and the bottom of the league as a whole with the scoring, your playoff chances go down tremendously. Yeah, it looks like Colorado's probably not going to be able to make it, and Chicago has already been eliminated. My God, the Chicago Fire. I mean, you start to feel bad for a club like that. Man, really? Just loss. Coming up with another loss last weekend. It's, of course, 3-2 to Toronto. And, Toronto's not looking all that convincing. They needed those 2 wins that they've gotten recently. They have a dead even ratio, 52-52, for and against. And it's, man, they've not looked – consistency has not been the Toronto story this year. Of course, we all remember they had to start their season with, I think it was 7 road games to start the year because of the renovations taking place to BMO Field. So they're going to have a nice, I think they have, if I remember, they have 4 out of 5 home games, and 4 home games in a row to start October, which is going to be much needed. And I think their last game of the year is against Montreal, if I remember right. I don't have it in front of me, and I'm trying to go off the top of my head. It's and Montreal's still in this too. I mean, they're only 1 point behind Toronto. And Montreal has that 6th spot in the East right now. Orlando City's about to be knocked out. If I remember their playoff scenario, which I'm running to look for now, if Orlando City loses to Montreal, it's over. But they do. Actually, I guess it's not quite over. Let me say it again. Orlando City SC, if they lose to Montreal Impact on Saturday and Toronto FC win or draw against Philadelphia on Saturday, Orlando City's done. And they put up a good fight in their first year in MLS. They just couldn't find a way to get through. Of course, New York City is also on the brink of elimination in their first year in the MLS. If New York City loses and the DC United on Saturday and the Montreal Impact win against Orlando City on Saturday, New York City is out. All that money they spent to bring over Pirlo and, and Lampard, of course. David Villa's been there all year, as we know. They invested a good chunk of money. Christ just isn't going to get it done. And there was concerns all year over there. Right? They got off to such a rough start. They couldn't figure out the Yankee Stadium dimensions. Everybody was coming in there scoring goals. But there are other scenarios how New York City can be eliminated as well. Things are not looking good for them at all. Of course, the Union can be eliminated. If they lose to Toronto, they're done. It's out. And if Montreal beats Orlando City, Philadelphia is out as well. So Philadelphia is certainly on the brink of being eliminated. Like I mentioned, Colorado in the Western Conference will be eliminated if they lose their draw against Real Salt Lake on Sunday. It's over. They could also be knocked out if San Jose Earthquakes beat Vancouver on Saturday, and if Sporting Kansas City comes away with a win over Portland. Colorado's knocked out. So let's get to the positive stuff. It's all this elimination stuff is kind of depressing, right? Let's move to New England. New England could clinch a playoff berth in the playoffs. Beat Chicago on Saturday. And guess what? Can we be bold enough to predict that now or what? My God. Fire have been an absolute mess this year. That's amazing. New England can still clinch if they don't beat Chicago, which, wow. If Orlando City loses their draws against Montreal, New England will still clinch a playoff berth. Columbus Crew, they're going to clinch a playoff berth if they win or draw against the Red Bulls on Saturday. Of course, the Red Bulls became the first team to clinch a playoff spot a couple of weeks ago, and it was sitting there waiting to figure out who's going to be joining them in the Eastern Conference. Like I mentioned, they have 48 points and only 2 points behind LA for home field advantage. We all know New York has never won a damn thing in MLS. 20 years in the league, nothing. They have no hardware to speak of, which is amazing, right? Of course, we all remember them as the Metro Stars. Pretty cool when you think of the Metro Stars. What's the first name I think of? Giovanni Savarese, the head coach of the New York Cosmos. I mean, he was pretty instrumental in getting that club going well in MLS back in 1996. And it's pretty cool that we actually get to hang out with him on our New York Cosmos podcast every once in a while. He comes on. We'll be looking forward to that show tomorrow. We're going to have another big show. Check nycosmos.com. You'll see tomorrow afternoon, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll go live with our New York Cosmos team podcast on the Sports Palooza Radio Network. And we have so much fun with that. Frank DeLapa and I both, we both host the show together. We've been doing it all year pretty much. It's fantastic stuff. And, of course, I'm a huge Cosmos fan, as everybody knows. And I've definitely mentioned all this podcast stuff on here before, so probably all. If any of you are tuning in for the first time or just as recently started to listen to the show, yes, I host the New York Cosmos team podcast. It's a blast. It's just a blast. I've been to, I think, 6 games, this short stadium this year, and we're going again here in a couple of weeks, of course. Yeah, it's pretty nice. And let's get back to the MLS, though. But, you get me talking about the Cosmos. It's tough for me to stop. Yeah, DC United can clinch a berth in the playoffs with their win over New York City on Friday. They can still back into the playoffs if they draw against New York City and Orlando City loses to Montreal, so they can still back their way in. But Toronto FC, if Toronto FC takes out the Union on Saturday and Orlando City loses or draws to Montreal with a New York City loss to tie or to DC United, it's amazing, right? All those stupid scenarios that happen over the course of the year. Now you get down to nitty-gritty where points are of the utmost importance in that, and all these little scenarios. There's so many. There's even more when it comes to Toronto. If they tie against the Union on Saturday, and Orlando City loses to Montreal, and New York City loses or draws to DC United on Friday, they can still find their way into the playoffs. Montreal will clinch a berth in the playoffs if they win over Orlando City on Saturday, and New York City loses or draws to DC United on Friday. And, the Western Conference starting to take shape up at the top of the table. And we knew it would take some time. There's a lot of time. We all knew the Western Conference was certainly the elite of the two, and they showed it in their heads-up matches. I saw the difference of West versus East this year, and it was pretty dominant towards the Western Conference. And obviously, we all knew when Sporting Kansas City and Houston left the Eastern Conference this year to go take part in the West. The Eastern Conference ended up having to take on 2 expansion clubs. So things are going to be pretty thin in the East, and it's exactly what happened. But, yeah, the LA Galaxy can clinch a playoff berth with the win over Seattle on Sunday. And here we go with LA and Seattle again, if you remember last year. Those two met in the final 2 games of the regular season. Seattle ended up coming away with home field advantage. The supporters shield, LA walked into Seattle and took it away. Ended up hosting the MLS final against New England last year, taking their 5th MLS trophy. Boy, it's amazing they got 5 already. And, of course, everybody thought when Donovan left it was going to be a little uphill battle for them. But they brought over, obviously Gerard, my God, the Santos. They have a great club over there in L.A. Obviously, international players all over the place who have just been fantastic for them. Like I said, they just got back on track last week. 50 points, much needed. If LA Galaxy does tie with the Sounders and the San Jose loses or draws to Vancouver, LA will still back into the playoffs. And there's still another third scenario in place. But, it's just like I mentioned, so many different scenarios. Vancouver will clinch a playoff berth if they beat San Jose on Saturday. Done. That's it. That's all they need to do. There's no other scenarios for them. Dallas can clinch a berth in the playoffs if they get by Houston on Sunday. And San Jose loses or draws against Vancouver. Seattle can find their way into the playoffs after that. My goodness, all that time without Dempsey, without Martins, injuries all over the place. Papa missed some time, and then throwing all the international duty where, Davis and all those guys were gone. I mean, they lost a whole slew of players for a good amount of time, and they were almost out of it. I mean, it's amazing how they never actually fell out of playoff contention. I don't think they ever really got any farther than 6th place. Yet, still, all those struggles, they are terrible for the time there. So if Seattle wins versus the Galaxy on Sunday and San Jose loses to Vancouver, Houston loses or draws to Dallas, and Real Salt Lake loses or draws to Colorado, Seattle is in. So it's there's a lot going on there. But, playoff spots it's the conversation in MLS right now. I mean, everything's coming down to the playoffs. Of course, we have the U.S. Open Cup final coming up on Wednesday night here with Kansas City and the Philadelphia Union at PPL Park. And we know the PPL Park hosted last year's version of the U.S. Open Cup final. Seattle walked in there and beat them 3-1 in extra time. And Philadelphia was pretty happy to have home field last year. And now they're, again, home field again for the big match. Can they actually go 0-2 at home, back-to-back U.S. Open Cup finals? I mean, Kansas City hasn't been all that convincing lately either. They've been playing terrible. I'm taking that 2.5. I saw it was about -105 or close to even money or something like that. Okay, 2-1. Yeah. Have you seen the Philadelphia defense play? Oh my God, man! And Sporting Kansas City as well. Really, defense much? You don't think these two? I personally think these two are going to play a 2-1 match. Undoubtedly. I mean, we might even see 2-2 going to extra time, something like that. There's going to be the 3 goals that we need to cash that over 2.5. I'm definitely taking that. Not even a question. I definitely, we're running out of time here. I only got about 10 minutes left. certainly want to run over some Champions League and Europa League stuff that's going on. Of course, if you check BetDSI and Diamond Sportsbook, you'll see I have all my previews, all 16 previews for the 8 matches on Tuesday and the 8 matches on Wednesday taking place in Champions League. I'm pretty sure we went 6-2. If I recall, we went 6-2 with the Tuesday matches in Champions League, and now we have 8 more set for Wednesday. Of course, Europa League will follow with their group stage. Their group stage match day 2 will be on Thursday. Ton of games going on. I'm definitely going to throw out some picks here. We'll just go down the list. Obviously, I don't have to really sit here and go through every scenario because you're either watching the games or you're not. I'm obviously someone who does. I love Astana at home against Galatasaray. The Turkish side's got some injuries. They got one big injury. It's certainly going to hurt them. And I took Astana in the pick. Something tells me, even though I posted that we can actually get Astana in the plus half at a decent price too. But the Astana pick over Galatasaray is plus 125, plus 135, depending on the book and the time you get to play in. So I certainly should suggest Astana at home. They've been pretty great at home in the whole entire campaign. And they just don't lose there. I'm certainly not convinced that Galatasaray has what the goods to go on the road. I think they've lost 9 straight road or group stage matches, something like that. Give me a break, man. Going to Astana, they're going to struggle there. If you like Astana, Paris Saint-Germain and Shakhtar, I like that over 2 and 2.5. Get that for about $15 or so, minus 115, somewhere in there for the over 2 and 2.5. It's a nice little play. Paris Saint-Germain, I imagine they're going to find a way to get by Shakhtar. All that talent over there. It's just, my God, Paris Saint-Germain has bought their way to a championship. And, they've been without that for quite a while in the European club stage. They definitely need to make an impression in Europe. Taking the French league, big deal. You can have your French league, and no one really cares. So it's just a matter of if they can come out of Europe, come out of that group. And I'd like Paris Saint-Germain to come my way with that victory too. I get minus 110 on the 3-way line. You can get minus 115 on the over 2 and 2.5 handicap. Why not? Oh boy, Mönchengladbach and Manchester City, huh? Obviously Gladbach got rid of Favre and he's gone. Bringing in Schubert, and he's been great, man. Since Schubert took over for Gladbach, they're 2-0. Scored 7 goals in the league play and playing great football right now. And all of a sudden, Manchester City's going in the opposite direction. They went 5-0 to start their league campaign. And next thing you know, 2 losses in a row in league play. Next thing you know, now they're not in first place. That's all it takes. A couple losses, next thing you know, you're behind. With teams going in different directions. I like that over 3. I moved that line to the straight over 3 at plus 135. I'm not even going to bother with the 2.5. Officially, at BetDSI, I gave out the 2.5. And I was like, that's all well and good. I'm playing the over 3. These two are going to combine. My God, that's going to be. I expect it to be 3-2 within the hour. So over 3 at plus 135. Yeah, pay me plenty. Just pay me. Pay that man his money. All right. Of course, that's a Rounders reference, if any of you don't know. Atletico Madrid and Benfica. Man, who's going to score here? Atletico Madrid, my God. Especially after Mandzukic left for Juventus. What score much? That club, man, we all know what Diego Simeone is. Play defense, but 10-9 guys behind the ball. And do nothing for 90 minutes. That under 2.5 is minus 125, and it should be. They certainly can't give it away, and I certainly don't expect any goal scoring to be going on there. 1-1 would be the best we would see, I would imagine. So the under 2.5 with Atletico Madrid and Benfica, their group stage match, certainly on the board. Juventus and Sevilla, oh boy. Who's playing worse? I know they both just recently picked up their first win in their domestic campaigns, but my God, Juventus is a nightmare. You don't just lose Pirlo, Tevez, and Vidal and have it not hurt you. And it certainly hurt his club. Paul Pogba? Yeah. Pay him to do what? You're in trouble. I'm sorry. Paul Pogba, I never saw him as the world leader that everyone thought, when he was signing a contract in the offseason. Where's Paul Pogba going to land, and who's going to pay him the big bucks to do what? Man, and now Juventus is paying the price because they're stuck with him, and that's unfortunate. Man, when I saw him actually come out with the number 10 jersey on after Tevez obviously left and left the 10 vacant, what is Paul Pogba doing wearing number 10? Get that jersey off, dude. You don't deserve it. You certainly haven't earned it. Wow. You got to earn a 10 jersey. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. And then, that about basically cover the Champions League. I definitely want to get to some Europa League action with Alkmaar and Athletic Bilbao facing off. Love that over. And almost all these Europa League overs. That whole group 2-0. All 4 clubs in that group played 2-0 on their first meeting in match day 1. And I'm going to go right back to that. I think Alkmaar and Bilbao definitely played to the over 2.5 at even money. Augsburg and Partizan definitely taking that over 2.5 at -110. Lokomotiv, Moscow, and our favorite Skanderbeu. I just like saying it, Skanderbeu. I think we did that last time, so it's maybe not as much fun. But fun for me. Hey, I tell you what, I'm taking that over 3 as well. I mean, man, Lokomotiv is going to score all 3 of those goals. I imagine they'd be pretty good. Mold and Ajax, I like that over as well. Telling you, there's a theme here when it comes to Europa League, and it's over. It's almost the same way we felt about 2-3 years ago, I think it was, when almost every year Europa League. I mean, like clockwork, you could put the Europa League over on the board. Any match, any level, group stage, knockout stage, round of 32, 16, quarter, whatever you want to do. Yeah, just play the over. And I'm getting those same vibes about how everything's going down this year. Group stage. I mean, it's just, I know we're only through one match, but my goodness, so many goals. The Celtic and Fenerbahce, I like that over 2.5 as well. Who's going to stop those two? I definitely see that happening in Marseille and Liberec. I like that over 2.5 as well. I think there's certainly going to be goals there. So, like I said, I can run down the gamut of Europa League matches this week. I mean, of course, it's not all that cut and dry as you run around all the groups. And we had Phil Schoen on last week, of course, as you remember. And he and I discussed some of these groups, and it was crazy to see Group L, Group J, Tottenham coming away with a 3-1 win over Karabag, which most of us expected. But the Monaco and Anderlecht 1-1. Certainly a surprise there. And we mentioned Schalke and Sparta Prague and Apoel. Schalke come away with a big 3-0 win over Apoel in their first match day 1 meeting. And Sparta Prague, and of course, Astros ended up coming away with a 1-1 draw there, Group K. Yeah, there's so much going on. I mean, there's just so many. When you're talking about Group K and Group L, since there's 4 clubs in each group, and we're halfway through the damn alphabet, there's a lot of clubs going. Yeah, it's just crazy how much football is being played in the Europa League right now. But I certainly want to get some plays out to everybody this week. It's certainly something I'd like to do. I've been doing it for a couple years now. I mean, it's something I've been doing for how long? And I'm certainly going to have to keep in mind that friendly little reminder of who you're dealing with here. Yep. The Rainmaker comes calling. So let's get everybody out of here. I hope you enjoyed the wrap of MLS and the playoff scenarios. Get you some Champions League action, Europa League action, throw in some FIFA news along the way. And next thing you know, a half hour's gone by and we're out of here. So, again, thank everybody for taking the time to listen to the Get More Sports World Tour Soccer podcast this week. Again, I'm EJ Carr, and we'll catch you next time here at GetMoreSports.com. Thanks, everybody. Of course, what we're going to do here now is leave you with the sound of the Vuvuzela.